A description of creation through the eyes of a 4-year-old. Already you laugh. Yes, you have. In the beginning, which was close to the start, there wasn't anything except God, darkness, and some gas. The Bible says the Lord thy God is one, but I think he has to be older than that. Anyway, God made the world, and then he said, give me some light. And somebody gave it to him. He split an atom and made Eve. Adam and Eve didn't wear any clothes, but they weren't embarrassed because God hadn't invented mirrors yet. Adam and Eve sinned by eating one bad apple, and they were driven out of the Garden of Eden. I'm not sure what God drove them in because he hadn't invented cars yet either. To see life through the eyes of a child, right? To be that simple, to have that clarity and that openness. I just love that. I thought it was just really cute and a good way to start this morning. So Thomas Keating wrote this: for human beings, the most daunting challenge is to become fully human. For to become fully human is to become fully divine. That's something to think about, isn't it? So many of the religions and the traditions have found ways to merge the human and the divine, to grasp the understanding that we each and all exist as part of the one, as a spark of the divine. So it would behoove us to remember that what we do to ourselves, what we do to one another and this beautiful planet, we're essentially doing to God, to all that is, to the Creator. So as we identify with that idea, we understand that there is no one person, no one thing inherently better than any other, because we are equally all part of the same divine essence. When we really take it down to the very core, that is the truth, right? We are all part of that same divine essence. Our outer physical essence is human. We know that. We feel physical pain. We have frailties. Things shift and change as we get older. So we know that physical essence of ours is human. However, our inner essence is divine. And that is what lives on forever. That is eternal. Our essence cannot be destroyed. So, with that said, the human in us wants to discover if there is any truth or light or divinity in others. We know we have it, right? But we want to know if the others have it. The divine in us understands and knows that that truth, that light, that divinity are everywhere in all things. Those qualities are not the monopoly of any individual person, religion, culture, nothing. Everyone has within that potential of peace, that potential of light and love. We all carry that within us. The human of us wants to see the face of reality so we can change the reality to suit our own desires. And the divine in us wants to see the face of reality so it can grow into the very image of divine truth. The human part of us is always wanting more success and more success and more success, whereas the divine in us wants progress, that constant progress both within and without. The human in us prays for our own satisfaction. Isn't that the truth? The divine part of us prays and meditates so God can realize its self through us in its own divine way. The human in us wants to discover that light within And the divine in us wants to reveal that light. Our soul made a promise when it came here that it would manifest that divine in us while we were here on this planet. That is a commitment, I believe, what we made before we came here. That's why we come together in community, to remind ourselves of that divine truth about every single one of us while we're here being human and experiencing human life. Eckhart Tolle wrote this: "Stop looking outside for scraps of pleasure or fulfillment, for validation, security, and love. You have a treasure within that is infinitely greater than anything the world can offer you." That's a pretty powerful statement, don't you think? You already have that. You have it all. What could you possibly be looking for? What could you possibly be seeking? That divinity that you're looking for is right here within you. You are right where you need to be on your human journey. And you are also right where you need to be on that spiritual journey. Right where you are. I remember one time I was speaking to somebody and I said, "How do I know if I'm on the right path?" And you know what she said to me? "Look at your feet." And I went, she goes, "No, no, 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 no." Where are you? That's where you need to be. Where you are and what you're doing is an example of how complete you are, how whole you are, how perfect you are. And the idea is that everything you need to have the life you desire is already within you. You already hold on to that. Now we, as human beings, go through life wearing disguises, playing roles, having different moods, being human, right? Underneath all of that, however, is our divine essence. And not only do we share that divine essence with the creator of all life, we share that divine essence with each and every single person on this planet. And it's in that divine essence that's where our greatest potential lies. Once we recognize it, once we grab onto that and open our eyes to it. Our egos and our small selves, our humanness in other words, can sometimes feel like it has boundaries. It actually will mislead us into believing that we have limitations. And when we feel that need, that desire to break out of that old way of thinking, out of accepting limitations, and wanting to transform into our whole complete divinity, we sometimes fail to recognize the truth. And the truth being, you already are that. You already have that which you seek. Enlightenment, divinity, it's only a breath away, and sometimes it only lasts for a moment. You get a brief glimpse of it, and then it's gone. Part of the deal, though, when we came here, is that we all have that seed of divinity planted within us. That state of wholeness, that state of being at one, being at peace. Enlightenment, if we want to go that far, that's what lies within us. And that concept of being in enlightenment is about being so intimate with our source of life that the idea of separation of any kind isn't even valid, because we understand and know that there is absolutely no separation. Recognizing our divinity, we don't get that from an external source. And we certainly don't get that from our ego. It's derived from that true source within. And we achieve the recognition of it by living from that spark of the divine, by being who we truly are, by melding with it, by becoming one with it. And when we get to that point of experiencing that enlightenment, that divinity, even if it's for a brief moment, we can see really clearly that we do possess that spark of God within, that divine within. And if we open our eyes wide enough, we can see that in everybody else as well. And we reach that state by being present, by being consciously aware, through conscious spiritual practices, be it prayer or meditation, contemplation, whatever you have found that has worked for you, that gets you closer to that connection with life, with Source, with God. The goal is to be consistent with that connection. So who are we really? Well, I'm going to tell you who you are. You are being, you are God in expression. You are a spark of divinity. You are pure potential. You are a spiritual being having a human experience. You are beyond all thought. You are beyond all prejudice. You're beyond all judgments of good, bad, right, and wrong. Your true essence is beauty, joy, enthusiasm, love, truth. Don't all those qualities sound like what we believe God is? And that's who you are. It is up to us, always, whether or not we choose to exhibit those qualities, to live those qualities. We choose our own perspective. We can get up in the morning and say, good God, it's morning. Or we can get up and say, good God, it's morning, and my feet are on the ground. Right? Same words. But we get to choose how we see it. The human part of us has this tendency to think that we are our mind, we are our ego. And there's so much more to us than that. We can pay attention to what Eckhart Tolle calls the thinker, if you're familiar with his work. It's that voice that we constantly hear in our head that belongs to our conditioned mind. Conditioned by our past experiences, by our beliefs that we've adopted along the way, and or through the cultural mindset that we've inherited. A lot of it is just already there. So as we pay close attention to that voice in our head, we can begin to hear those, familiar tapes that are running. I can't do that because I'm not good enough because I can't. I'm not, right? All of those tapes. Learn to listen to that voice in your head and observe it. He says, as a witness, kind of stand back. And that witness is that I, that divine that is within you. That is who you are. When you listen to that voice impartially, you experience that I am realization, that sense of your own divine essence. Recognize the voices there. Recognize that you're listening to it, that you're observing it, that you're witnessing it, that you are aside from it, outside of it. That experience evolves from beyond our conditioned egoic mind. And how freeing is it? How freeing is it to realize that that voice in our head, that one that tells us we're not good enough, that one that tells us we can't, the one who does all the talking and all the worrying and all the complaining and can't make a decision, isn't who we are. We're so much more than that. We're the one who sees that, who observes that. We are the awareness prior to and between those thoughts. Wow. Generally speaking, we don't experience our true essence with all those incredibly fabulous qualities because our awareness tends to be dominated by our ego, by our human personality. And as we learn to be consciously aware, we become more transparent. We become more able to experience our essence more directly and more frequently. We still function in the world because we need to do that. We just do that with a growing realization of our connection to all of life. To all of life. We become aware that we're part of that divine essence that is constantly and miraculously unfolding right before our eyes. All we have to do is open them up and see. Carl Jung reminds us, who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. I really love that. Our essence, our true selves, awakens us to the beauty all around us. And even though there are days and it doesn't look like it's there, it is. It absolutely is. In every single moment, there are miracles. There are sources of joy. We just need to open ourselves to those experiences. I mean, through our ego, it's very easy to become filled with our own agendas. Projects, preoccupations, worries, hopes. Sometimes we forget to notice the pleasure of simply being here, now, in the moment. Of appreciating all that we have and all that we are. It's very easy to forget that. We've all had moments when it feels like that veil of separation has been removed. So even the smallest things touch us very, very deeply. We experience that world of innocence of a child, the mystery and the awe of life restored. I know I experienced that with my grandson, right? Pushing 2 years old. Take him outside, and you know what his biggest excitement in life is? Picking up a rock, right? He picks these rocks up and and it just reminds me to be present. There is such beauty and joy in that until he throws it and then goes and gets another one. But the point is, right, he makes me stop and really pay attention and really look at the simple things in life. So many times we go through life with only glimpses of our true nature. And we experience that when we fall in love, at the birth of a beautiful child, or when we're totally absorbed in the moment doing something that we love, doing something that we're really passionate about, and we lose all personal thought process. We're just present. And isn't that a beautiful place to be? We can shift from having just glimpses of our divinity to frequent experiences simply by acknowledging, by cherishing who we are, by remaining present in the moment. Our divinity is the essence of who we are. It's unencumbered by history or by culture or any learned ideas of who we think we are. When we are conscious of our true self, we're connected to that deeper intelligence called love. I found this poem, and since I don't know who wrote it, I can't credit him or her. However, I do need to share it with you. It's really beautiful. Deep down inside, we know that the best gifts don't come from catalogs or shopping malls. They don't come in brightly colored packages or fancy envelopes, and they're not sitting under a tree somewhere. The best gifts come from the heart. They come when we look at each other, really look at each other, and say, "You mean a lot to me," or "I'm glad you are part of my life." A gift like that will never go out of style or be forgotten or be returned for a different size. A gift like that can change the world. And that just really touched me very deeply. And I'm very happy that all of you are part of my life, because you do mean a lot to me, each and every single one of you. And so this morning I close with this invitation. Always keep your heart and your mind open so you don't miss out on any great adventure or simple joys. Love your life. Share your essence. Be your divine self. And be it out loud. Take just one day at a time and think and speak and behave as if you are completely convinced that you are truly divine. So thank you so much for being here while I shared this truth as I understand it.